All right, welcome. Today, I am so excited to have Anthony Trucks with me. He's got an amazing story, and it's such a great fit. And I mean, right off the bat, we're right together. We're both sitting here drinking Red Bull, so
Oh
this is
yeah,
this is going to be
sugar-free Red
good.
Bull. Look at that. I take my midday push-up.
There you go. So I want to give a quick introduction, but then Anthony, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you get into it more.
Okay.
Tell about your background, and then I want to get right into what you're teaching and how you're changing the world. So Anthony's a former NFL player, and this part I didn't know. He's an American Ninja Warrior on NBC. I didn't know that, and I mean, since we talked last, I realized you're the first NFL player to ring the bell. So that was cool. He's an international speaker, host of the Oz Shift podcast, and the founder of Identity Shift Coaching. He uses cutting edge science and psychology to upgrade how you operate so you can evaluate your life and business to reach your full potential. After being given away into foster care at 3 years old, being adopted into an all-white family at 14, losing his NFL career to injury, and more, he has learned how to shift at a very young age. And now his mission in life is teaching others how to make shift happen in their lives. So welcome, Anthony. Fill me in. What did I miss? Tell me a little bit more.
Nothing. That's my whole life. Nice podcast. Appreciate you guys. I'm going home. No.
Thank you.
No, it's a great deal, right? I think the cool thing is you get to see the accolades, which is always fun because I'm like, man, I did do that. It's always cool to hear. But I think a lot of individuals who achieve, interesting things in any capacity, you do them because of the opposition you face. So that in the moment of opportunity, you were strong enough to navigate it. So what was missed was definitely things we can unpack today. You can ask questions on, but I think some of the core parts of me that probably weren't shared, like I'm heavily a happily married man. I have an amazing family. I love my kids. I love my God. Like I love the life that I'm provided. I have a great deal of appreciation and gratitude for it because it could have been vastly different. But yeah, man, I am a collection of all those things. But the core of me, I am a husband and a father most.
Awesome. I love it. And I love the fact that you're not a victim.
Not at all.
I talk so much with my clients and people I work with about looking at things as life's happening for you, not to you. And really, you look at the things you've dealt with and you're just rolling with it and you're changing the world from the lessons in life you've learned from. And so appreciate
Yeah.
that. And that's what I'm excited about.
Welcome, man. Me too. Little by little. It's a journey to get here. It's not like you wake up like that, but most definitely has been an interesting and enjoyable journey so far.
Awesome. I work with entrepreneurs, I work with athletes, and whether I'm working with either of them, it's always coming down to mindset. And that's why I love working with coaches like you that have the athletic background, because especially when I'm working with athletes, like through my Confident Athlete program, facing adversity, knowing how to deal with that. But also, what does it take to become an elite athlete? What does it take from a mindset perspective and all those things? And so that's something I really want to try to focus on.
Sure.
And, with what you teach and your book, Identity Shift, I want to talk about that because there's so much for them to learn from that. So I guess that's where I want to kind of begin. You've got athletes that at a young age, they put their heart and soul into things and they never are going to get to their full potential. What does it take for an athlete to really reach their full potential?
You know what? I think it takes an internal decision. There's going to be a lot of outside factors. It's going to be coaches and support structure, monetary situations of what people can afford in terms of coaches, guidance, the teams, the travel. There's all those things that are out there. But to be quite honest, man, it's an internal decision. Like once you've made an internal decision is what you want to do, the world kind of moves out of your way. So like when I was a kid, 14 years old was the first time I got to play football. I really wanted to play. I'd grown up in foster care. I was given away at 3. I had a really kind of interesting upbringing, we'll call it. And I grew up in a poor family. When I was adopted, finally, it wasn't until I was 14 and we didn't have any money. However, I had this perspective that like, if I could go and make money, I could do things that money was needed for, right? Pretty straightforward. So I'd mow lawns and everything and eventually worked my way up to where at 12 years old, I had a paper route. Was it 12? Yeah. I think at 12 years old, I got a paper route. They let this little kid, 12 years old, ride around a bike with, newspapers thrown at people's houses. That was what I got to do. And I started making money, man. I would buy rollerblades and I'd buy a little TV, I bought a bicycle. And when I got the opportunity to play football, I had this internal choice I wanted to play. And the reason I hadn't played at any time before that is I was in foster care. I wasn't adopted and I couldn't play sports because my real mom, biological mom, wouldn't allow me to play. So I didn't get to play. So when I finally could, I was like, right, well, I want to play. I'd made this decision. I want to be great. I want to play this game. I want to do something. But we didn't have the money. I didn't have the skill sets. I'm the only athlete in my family. I was the only black person in an all-white family. So like we didn't really have, nobody was doing sports but me. And not that it's like not a white thing to do sports, by the way, just nobody in my family did sports. So it's just me as the athlete. And so what ends up happening is I got to find a way to pay for it. And in fact, my first year of football ever at 14 years old, I paid for the season and everything. I went to the store. I bought my cleats. The cleats were on clearance and they were 2 sizes too big. It's the only thing they had left. I was like, we got to get them though. So I got a piece of toilet paper and I wrapped Scotch tape around them tight. And then I cut it to shape the toe of the cleat. And those would go in my cleats before I would play. I played practice games, everything with these too big of size cleats, right? And then I paid for the year. I paid for the equipment, everything out of my own pocket. My first year of football because we couldn't afford it.
You say that was at 14?
14 years old, man. I had this decision. And then those things, when you do those, here's a thing where I think the mentality comes in. And I'm more of an identity guy, but mindset has a place within it. Whenever you have made an investment, you want to return. And this is a human thing, no matter how old you are, whether you understand investment or not. If I'm a little kid and I want to be good at a video game, the investment is I play a bunch of video games. I better get good over time, right? Well, whenever it's an investment of time and money, like you start wanting the return. And the return for most athletes comes in passion and pride and confidence. But you got to give something first. You have to make an investment. So for me, I made the financial investment, but I also would do my paper route and then ride my bike right from the paper route. I'd do my paper route with shoulder pads on, ride to practice at Eagle Ridge Park. I would practice, ride my bike home. Whenever you're putting money in and time in and all this stuff, there's no way you come out of that and go like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like usually it's the point where like this starts becoming who I am in a flow. And for athletes that are trying to find a way to get to the next level, it's just, did I make the decision? Once I made the decision, did I make the investment? Because I've done the decision and it's what I'm going to do. When I make the investment, the return starts coming in ways that are hard to even comprehend, but they will show up when you look at that kid and go, man, that kid's an animal. They're a monster. They don't quit. You know why they don't quit? Because they made the deposit and they're not going to walk out of this bank without the return.
That is powerful and a great lesson too. So, I mean, a lot of that, like you're saying, that's part of the mindset of that. And that's making that investment and having that mindset shift. Now, let's talk more about what you put a lot of focus on. You say your failure, your success is determined by your identity. So talk about identity and how that all comes together with what we're talking about.
Yeah, man. Identity is, it's an interesting monster because it's something that we all have. Yet at the same time, unfortunately, it's something that we don't all control. So here's like my simple definition. Your identity is who you are when you aren't thinking about who you are. Simple. It's all the nooks and crannies of your operational, just how you show up in the day. Are you happy? Are you sad? Do you work hard? Do you not work hard? When something happens, what's your knee-jerk reaction, right? That's an expression of who you are, your identity. And so as much as this thing is running all the different parts, like it runs the flow of like your life, it's interesting is none of us really are in control of it. It got created at the subconscious level with everybody else, our teachers, preachers, coaches, TV shows, different things. It's all infused into us. So we start believing certain things, have certain thoughts about stuff and certain possibilities and what's right, what's wrong, money beliefs, relationship beliefs. And it feeds into our identity and we're just living out of this thing. And the only time it changes is by survival, typically. If I have to survive a situation, little by little, all of a sudden it gets different, right? So the truth of the matter is your identity is something that in fact can be programmed like it was before. No one thinks about it though. And the reason why you'd want to reprogram it is because if this thing is running your life, you probably want control of it. And if you want to access another level of life, money, time, you want to be a better athlete, the true power lies behind the identity. Because think of it this way. If I want to be a great athlete who has a championship ring, or as, the starter of the team, let's think about it. There's certain things that athlete does. They just are, right? There's certain things athlete does. And we all know what it is, right? It's go to practice, read the playbook, show up on time, take care of your body, right? We all know what it is. But there are certain people, a lot of people who have the knowledge of what it is. And when it gets to a certain moment, it's, back in the day, 3 o'clock, it's like, oh man, I was going to get my workout in, but I'm just too busy to go to the gym. Or, I want to go and I want to read the playbook, but my girlfriend, we were arguing, all stuff happens. And I go, okay, great. I want to ask you a question real quick, little Billy. Tell me this. The athlete, championship athlete that's living the dream you want, has a trophy on their mantelpiece right now. Would they make that same excuse right now? They wouldn't. If you think about it, no, they wouldn't. That wouldn't even cross their mind. And that's not a mindset thing, because you have to actively think about it. It's an identity thing. It's who they are. I don't care. I'm sorry, Shirley. I'm getting my workout in. You want to go to the bubblegum shop and get some ice cream? I don't care. I got to get my lift in. It's who I am, right? And so when I look at identity, my goal is to get people to shift into what I call the zone identity for their dream. There is a zone that all of us athletes get into. When we're in it, the world melts away. We're impenetrable. We got confidence. We're in flow. We get things done. You can't touch me on the field. I got this tick, this anger, this go. It's a zone, right? And that's something that you create. You aren't born with it. You don't wake up with it one day. It's something that's effort-wise put in, and it becomes who you are to operate in that state. And so when I look at identity of what I'm doing, non-athlete, athlete, it doesn't really matter. How do I get you into that zone for your life? And it's comprised of getting you to the point where your identity is anchored in that area. Because when we get that in place, everything comes to pass. So now there's not even a question of getting to the moment of a long day and going, do I get the workout in? Do I read the playbook? You wouldn't go to bed till it got done. And that's one of the beautiful pieces too. I'll finish on this part of it is, if you think about the effort that goes towards getting a specific action done that'll move the needle, there's one side where it's like, oh, I got to do that. Oh, it's energy, right? The other side of the coin is, man, I can't go to sleep until I do that. It'll be painful to go to bed and know I didn't complete that. I'll be out of alignment. So where one side has pain doing it, one side has pain not doing it. Which one do you think succeeds at the end? The one that didn't get burnt out, because it was the one that it just was part of the normal operation of their identity to do it.
That's powerful. I actually was listening to some stuff yesterday, and Jim Quick said that, changing the O to an E from I've got to do it to I get to do it makes such a difference.
Part of it too.
A difference. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And, really actually on my other podcast, Daily Success Strategies, I talked about this just a little while ago. And one I called 100% easier than 99%, because when you're committed 100%, you're just going to do it. It's not those options. So I love that. And so, we talk about getting in that zone, getting in that flow, is that something you can turn on, turn off? Like when you've got a game, you need to be in the zone.
There are ways. Yeah. There's so if you look at, Todd Herman has some good work in identity. He has the alter ego effect. So a good book you could look into for that. He's big on what's called your alter ego, activating that. And I love the concept. Essentially, it's like, you get a totem, and when it comes time, you craft who that person is, give it a name, give it a structure, give it a flow. When it comes time, flip that switch, go to work. It's like Superman flips the alter ego. There are Kobe Bryant had Mamba. It exists, right? There is that switch. And the work that I do is in line, but in a different area. As opposed to having you activate that person when it comes time, why don't you never take the cape off? That's what I look at. What if I could get you to shift into that and never take the cape off? Now, it would take longer, it would take a little bit more time. But in the end, if I'm thinking a year from now, do I want to only have to switch it on when I need to, or do I want to live in that zone as long as possible? Because if I can live in that space, it becomes normalcy to me. It comes effortless effort. Give an effort, but it's it's effortless. Like brushing my teeth, it's such a normal thing. It's effortless. It's effort, right? I have to, but it's effortless. I could do it while on the toilet. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. So what if I can get you into that zone? And that is what I do. I'm able to get you to the point where you don't switch it on, you shift into it, and it just becomes who you are. There's no realization of an opposite or a turn off switch. Because if you think about people that are very successful in a specific area, if you ask them, hey, who were you when you were unsuccessful? When you weren't on TV, or you weren't in the game, well, who were you? Usually, I'd probably venture to say 90+% of the time, people will start going, I was somebody else, different person back then. I didn't think the same way. I didn't process the same way. I didn't have the same circle of friends. man, I don't know how to think like I used to think back then. It's an escalation, elevation, realistically. They're not even that person anymore. And so when I look at that, that's my goal. I want you to progress so far past that you look back. Think about when we were like, think about 9-year-old you. 9-year-old you. Can you try to think like 9-year-old you? Right? I can't think. I mean, I'm sure I can look at what he was doing, but to get back into the actual headspace of 9-year-old me, bro, I don't know. It's such a progression to this point. And so that's the realistic thing, is like I'm trying to get people to understand that's a place that you can shift into. Once you've gone there, it's hard to go back.
So basically, what you teach people to do is how to become the person they want to be, but become
Hell
that
yes.
person now.
Yes. But there's so much to that people don't realize. It's not just become the person, because when you become the person, it's a brand new reality you're living in. If you think about like Neo in the Matrix, right? He had a reality he had. Then he was opened and awakened to a new reality, right? Or if you think about Truman, I'm real right here, but then there's a whole new reality out there. Like there's a difference, and it sounds woo woo. I know people are like, that sounds kind of out there, bro. But think about it. Like back, I mean, whenever I was like 12 years old, my reality was, my house in this area. I wasn't considering the world. I wasn't considering the next city over. Like my brain, I guarantee my 11-year-old right now, if you ask him where he's at, he can't visually picture his relation to grandma's house in San Francisco or any of these things. But once you progress to a certain level, like it's a different level. It's a whole new reality that I'm living in than when I was back then. And that's like this, I can pinpoint myself on a globe right now in my head. You know what I'm saying? It's a different reality. So it's not I'm making you become a different person. You're becoming somebody different, but that's the person that is needed to be in that new reality you want to live in.
So I'm going to lead you into an answer because I kind of know the answer because I've heard you talk about it. What is it we need to do? Is it more books? Is it more programs? Is it more what we don't have? But what's the process of getting there?
Yeah. It's a good question. We are a society that has a lot of shelf esteem, which we talk about, I'm sure. We got a lot of books, and I'm going to venture to say every book behind you hasn't been read. Same as my library. Not every book's been read, but a great deal have, right? As my dogs come running through the house. Toby, be quiet, dog. But here's the reality is we are in a world where we believe that it's like the information age. And yes, we have a great deal of information. The problem is it's been decentralized. It's not, all the encyclopedias are in college anymore. It's all online. You can go anywhere and grab information and you can learn. You can get a degree for free if you feel like Google enough stuff and read enough stuff. Genuinely can from your home. So the issue doesn't come into the information I have. It's not what I know. I believe heavily, and I have yet to have anybody disprove this, but it's who I am with what I know. Right. So like I have clients, same thing with the app. I have clients that'll go in. I read the book. I took the course. I went to the seminar. I've got this information. I say, great. All right. What have you got done? Well, I haven't got all of it done and executed yet. Well, why not? Well, my wife, acted up, or like I got the kids and my schedule's tight, or I got the side job here. And have you taken vacation the last few months? Yeah, we took a trip. Okay. Have you, I don't know, watched any movies lately? Yeah, I've watched. Have you watched any TV shows? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's look at it this way, my man. The individual who has that life that you're talking about, the cars, the money, the business, whatever, from all the books that they've read, do you think that they're doing the exact same thing you're doing, or are they doing something a little bit different? Oh yeah, they're doing some different things, and I even ask people, I say, hey, if your hero followed you around for a day, what would they say? Like I ask people that, and they go, it shuts them up, and I go, look, so it's not the information, it's not all the stinking books in your head. It's who are you with those things. I can give you an amazing machete right now, but if I give an amazing machete that can clear a path towards the amazing Amazon hidden city of gold, if I give that machete to a baby, a newborn baby, that ain't doing anything. Give it to a grown man who knows how to swing a machete, all of a sudden that machete gets put to use. That tool is now used by the person using it. So where everybody gets the whole, I got to work on myself. Yeah, but you ain't working on yourself, man. And what you're working on is trying to like focus for 30 minutes a little bit more. But you're not identified. It's not who you are. It's like pulling teeth. When it becomes who you are, to buy something, and like when I buy programs and products, it is immediately in my schedule. I buy it, I clear out space, it's done, because I can't be the guy that just gave you money and didn't get what I needed to get out of this thing. So for me, it's like I'm a consumer, but then I also go, let me put this into real life. I'm getting it done. It's who I am to do it. There is no question. I'll do it seriously. When I buy new courses, they're consumed within a week, almost every time, if I can, if it's all free. So you'll find me, I watch in the morning when my kids are asleep. When I'm driving, it's in my earbuds. Like I'll have one ear in, the rest of the family's here. I have one, I'm listening to the whole thing. I'll sit down in my free time when people are watching movies and we're watching TV. I got a little notebook out. I'm doing my work. Like it's who I am to get done. And people go, how do you get it done? So how do you do all that? How do you not? Like, how do you just paid money to that, right? But it's an identity thing. It's who I am. I've aligned myself with saying that's the kind of guy I am. And so the information I have, what's unique is I find myself needing less information. When it's who I am to solve problems, to find solutions to stuff, I end up going down paths that the person who created this did and find my own unique path, or I find my own process, or their process helps me a little bit more. But now I become the person that we're all looking at saying, I want their success. You become the person that can create that and go give it back to the world. It's not the information all the time. It's who you are with it.
That's awesome. And on like looking at how you consume a course or a program or whatever, that's one thing that amazes me with, for example, my Confident Athlete program. I get athletes in there that are investing and dedicating their time and energy to become a better athlete. But then, we've got our weekly group coaching calls and they're never there.
Never there. Didn't do it.
You've invested in this program.
Yeah.
But why aren't you taking advantage of it? Why aren't you taking it serious and going all in? And then you're wondering why you're not getting all the results that you want. Just buying the program isn't going to make you
self-esteem. I bought it. It's on the shelf. I feel good about it. It's sitting there on the shelf at my email, or shelf in my house, or shelf in my mind, dude. So a lot of the work that I do, so this is all conceptual. We're talking about the concepts, the problem. And I don't like being the guy that talks about the concepts and problems without actually giving you, like, here is the thing you do now, right? So in the work that I do, we get down to the very like granular, tactical. Today, I had an hour-long call with one of my clients, former athlete, works with athletes also. We broke down, we found that he had a list of like 12 things. I showed him how to get the entire list done in the next 48 hours. You know how to do it. I'm like, let's piece this apart. And I'm talking down to 15-minute blocks here, 30 minutes here, take a breather, take a break. It's like, what are you doing? Well, think about when we were athletes. What did we do? We shut up and did the work. The problem with most athletes and anybody in real life is we want to show up and do the work, but we don't realize when we did that, we had a coach who was out in the background planning out. The whole team was planning out when we would travel, when's practice, when's meetings, when's food. Someone planned it so we could just show up. The workouts, we could show up and just do the workouts, do the schedule. So you have to do it for yourself now. And so when you can go back and start getting things like to where you look at how do I actually run my life, now you can actually have more control and put things into practice. You could pick the actions, read the books, do the courses, and you start seeing the discipline comes back in, the flow comes back in. You get back into that zone, right? The zone is not just, do I have the emotional desire to get there? The zone is, do I have the structure and strategy to actually get my body and my mind, my life to do this? So when I'm working with people, my goal is like, let's think over here, think. Great. Thinking's done. Put that down. Let's now make this real in your life. And we get into the planner portion. I'm talking, and it sounds like, oh, you help with the planner, bro. If you understood, I find that the majority, like I would probably say upwards of 90+% of people buy planners with no clue how to plan. Got a planner.
Yep.
It's great. What's on there? Stuff. What kind of stuff? Stuff I'm going to do? Like, dude. So we take all that and we infuse everything. I'm talking the emotional stuff you want to work on, the relationship you want to work on, the parenting stuff you want to work. Because think about it. People say, if you want to show me who you are, show me your calendar. It's big. It's true. So I took that to heart. I was like, all right, well, what do I got to put in my calendar? Okay, great. How do I get this stuff in? What does it look like? So I started a process in 2011 that shows me how to do all that stuff and taught me how to do it. And so I refined it. So a decade later now, it's ridiculously seamless. But that's why I get people to shift into this flow. I talk about this stuff. We do the work to get it foundational. Let me start weaving it into life.
Powerful. And yeah, there's just so much truth to that, because, I often will do that with my clients and ask them exactly what you said there. Okay, show me your calendar. well, it's in my head. I know I've got to get this done today. I know I've got to get
Don't
this
work.
done. Well,
Don't work.
no,
Just the
exactly.
psychology of it sucks. A lot of people like, they're like, oh, I got to get this. So today, one of my guys had a list. I got to do this preparation for a challenge. I got to break down some Twitter things that I got to do. I said, okay, well, let's think about how long would it take you to get this challenge figured out? We talked about it. It's like, oh, well, I guess like 30 focused minutes. All right. So put 30 minutes after that. Okay, great. All right. Well, how about this Instagram thing? Like, how long does it take you to do the Instagram thing? About 30, 45 minutes. I said, let's put an hour. Put an hour down. Okay, great. What about this thing here that had to do with planning out the launch of his community? Okay, what do you need to do for the community? Well, I got to do this. I said, what if you just sat aside an hour to think about what you need to do for the launch? Wouldn't that make it easier so you could actually start planning better? Yeah. So you put it down. So he had these 3 things on his list that were actually daunting in his brain. I got to launch a challenge. I got to work on Instagram posts. I got to, do this community planning. Ended up being only 2 hours of work. It's only 2 hours. But when I just said it to you, most people go, oh, it's got to be a lot. An Instagram post and a challenge. Yeah, but it's only 2 hours of work, man. So we were done at 8:00 Pacific, and I looked at his calendar. He pulled it up. I looked at his calendar. I said, okay, let me take a look. You got like 7 hours I see in a day. Yeah, okay. So put those 2 there, and then those were done. It's done. He goes, oh, wow. I go, yeah, let's keep on going. We kept doing it. We got this whole stinking list in the day. And I had like a couple of things for tomorrow. And I'm like, this whole list that you're sitting on is stopping you from being prepared for the opportunity coming down the pipeline next week or a month from now. You can't even open yourself up to it or take it on because this stuff's bogging the pipeline, but it could have been done 5 days ago if you just did it the way I just showed you, right? And now what happens where it's just an idea, it's like, okay, it's an idea, now it's actionable, but guess what? The more he does this, the more it becomes who he is to do this. So we never have this conversation in the future. And the Red Sea parts, man, Jeff, it becomes this fluid flow of like, I'm running into life. And all of a sudden things keep hitting me. People go, how did that guy get so much success, have that Midas touch? Because I started just doing things at a level where it became who I was to do it.
Absolutely. That's one thing when I talk with my clients about their success habits is I said most of those are easy to do, but they're easy not to do.
Oh yeah, well said.
It's just the discipline, once and you get that, you've got him figuring all that out in the next 48 hours. Well, he's got that momentum now and that understanding of how to do it, and he's just gonna flow with
steamrolls, dude. I don't know what it was, but this week 3 of my clients all settled into that. I have a very specific training called time collapse training, which is where I collapse time, like we're just talking about now.
Yeah.
And they come out with these beautifully colored, organized, clear, like planners, and their specific languages. I feel so powerful right now because it's like you have not only this freedom of, because here's the big thing people do is they go to work on their task, their project, their dream, and they have multiple tasks and projects and dreams. So if I sit down for this hour, it's set aside for this one thing. In the middle of me working on this, my brain drifts off. Should I be working on that thing though? Or could I be doing this? Or when's that going to get done? And then 30 minutes goes by and I got nothing done. And then what I do, I don't even have time for this. I move on to something else. And then you're off to something else. And that happens over and over for month 1, month 2, month 3, year 1, year 2. And it's like, when are you going to start that biz you talked about? I'm still working on it. That was 2 years ago, man. What's going on? It's so we have a process that unpacks all that. And yes, 100%. You got to take a look and dial it in. And that's where all the conceptual, philosophical identity stuff, like that's where it comes to be, because you cannot create or shift into a new identity without actions being taken in the direction of it.
And once you've got them scheduling those things, they're not floating around in their mind, haunting them, like you're saying, in the middle of something, thinking, oh, I've got to do that Instagram post. I got to do that. No, you've got that scheduled. It's going to get done. Forget about it.
Not to pride at the back end. Now you got it done. You end the day and you go, holy crap, I feel powerful. I got pride. I got that done. And I got, like, the cool thing, the way I do it, you have a life to live. Like I'll be done. When we're done today, I'm done at like 3:30. I'm going to work out with the family, hang out. I got a whole book coming out. I got a team of 11 people working on multiple projects. I got curriculum to create. I got videos to film next week. I'm taking a trip to Colorado, but today I'm going to hang out with the family. Probably going to watch a movie, do a bunch of dumb, stupid stuff. Why not? Because I have my life organized in a way to where all that has to get done has a place to get done. So when I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it or think about it. I'm just going to live my life. So I get to smell the roses while walking the path. And most people are like, bro, how did you get that done? Just did the work. And that is what, when we talk about the mentality, the identity, like the mindset around all this stuff, it's just a matter of everything. It's like, there's a book called Outwitting the Devil. If you heard of it, Napoleon Hill, you read it before?
Napoleon Hill. Yep.
Bro, it's a great book. The harmonizing, that's about harmonizing, right? Or the law of, what is it? Hypnotic rhythm. It's simple. It's the law of hypnotic rhythm. I didn't even realize, I just read the book 2 weeks ago, by the way. Didn't even understand this existed. But that's kind of what I've been tapping into, just this law of hypnotic rhythm. So when things start kind of moving, I get to this flow and it moves. And all of a sudden, that's my new hypnotic rhythm. And I don't know how to break it at this point. Like I can fall off, but it feels so out of whack that I'm back into it within a couple of days. Because I'm like, it feels icky. Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm out of rhythm. We get back in sync, then I go to work.
Now, these are awesome. This is something that, especially for an entrepreneur, how they need to look at this and they can implement it right away. How does a student athlete put this all into place?
You go and lean on your counselors, whoever it may be, the people that are the ones leading you, right? Because at the end of the day, excuse me, a sneeze that came in. The second one? Is there a second one coming? Nope, I'm good. You talk to the counselors because counselors are the one that can help you think outside the box. And you also, because you're a student athlete, you're not in full control of your life and schedule. You have siblings and brothers in school and practice, but you can still organize things, right? So what you need to do is enlist the help of outside people that can help you organize things. Now, the worst part about all this is most adults aren't even prepared to do this for themselves. So it's harder to get them to do it for the kids. But if you can easily just help you organize, because you don't have to drop off kids. You don't got to go and do your job, right? Your job is school and sports. If you can find someone who can at least sit down and say, how can I connect these two and organize them to where I know what to do for school, and sports, it gives you a little bit more control. And here's the thing that I think is even better is it gives you peace that gives you power. It's when we are athletes and we don't know I'm supposed to eat that food, when should I work out, exercise, do I have time to work out? As a kid, man, it creates anxiety. And we're not prepared as kids typically emotionally to handle anxiety. I know me growing up in foster care and stuff, I had a ton of anxiety and stuff. I didn't know how to properly manage it. It came out because energy comes out as like getting in trouble, acting up, always talking, right? But if you can have somebody teach you how to make sense of the direction you're going, so you have certainty and the actions you're taking, so you have confidence in the direction, it creates a different kind of peace that does create a sense of power, a control, an anchoring to where I'm not wondering, I'm not guessing, I'm not hoping anymore. Like I got a shirt funny that says hope is not a good plan. Like I don't think you see it.
I love it.
It just happened to come out randomly. But like then you get to a flow. So I would say enlist the insights of the individuals who are like your counselors, your teachers, your coaches, and say, I'm trying to get better. I need to organize my life a little better. How can I make sure I'm allocating the right amount of time each day towards this? So maybe it's, hey, spend an hour a day taking care of your body, right? Work out, eat food, prepare food, eat good, right? Whatever it may be. Make sure every day, even if you need to or not, that you're working on some schoolwork thing. If it's a project that's due next week, don't wait till the day before. These little things. And people go, oh, my parents tell them this, and my coach say this. They say it for a reason. We say it for a reason because we've lived it enough to be like, I wish I didn't do that. And then we tell kids and they go, well, I don't want to do it. Because then it's like your idea. And I'm not going to do it just because you said so. Stupid. But come on, man. This is why parents exist, to make your life a little bit, if you'd listen to them, trying to help you out. So I guess the first thing is look obviously the people that can help you, but also listen to the common sense you've already been hearing already and actually apply it without letting your little kid ego get in the way that says, I don't want to do it just because she told me to. Shut up and go do it. It's going to help you.
Now, I think this is just to plus what you've already said, but I've heard you say that the most important decision is who, not what.
Heck yeah.
So do you want to just add to that?
Yeah. So I'm talking about identity. And if you think about what most people ask is, what do I have to do? This is all going to align with the same stuff we're saying. I love that you're hitting it from all different angles because it's the same conversation, but it's a different way of looking at it. So maybe somebody will hear it that they haven't heard yet. Most people say, what do I have to do? What do I have to do? Dad, tell me, what do I got to do? My son is, Dad, what do I got to do? I'm like, son, it's not about what do you have to do. It's about who do you have to be? Because that who does things. That who is comprised of things that who does. So if we say, who do I want to be? I want to be the star athlete. I want to be the scholar athlete. I want to be the great football player. So I asked the question, what does a great football player do? It's the who. That who informs the what. It's simple. If I want to be known as a phenomenal football player, basketball player, volleyball, well, what that person does, they probably don't drink, they probably don't smoke, they probably practice, they probably exercise, right? So just think about those things. So if that's who you want to be, who, now it'll inform what we should do. So you don't have to ask me, what should I do? You might ask, hey, I need to work out. What workout should I do? But it shouldn't be a question of, should I work out? Well, does that person work out? Well, yeah. Well, then, yeah, you should work out, bud. It's simple. So if you ask the question of who, it informs the what. And then when you ask what you should do, it's more of what should I do to make this more efficient and effective in doing those things.
Man, this is great. I love this. Tell me more about your book, Identity Shift. Upgrade how you operate to elevate your life.
Yeah. So the book was written actually, how to explain it. So the book was written in a way to make sure it wasn't over people's heads, right? I had to read a lot of scientific books to make sense of stuff, but my whole job, and in my opinion, is to get the concept to have legs. And if the book is too high level, it loses the ability to really impact lives. There are some great books that use a ton of science that are for a specific person. And I love reading those books myself. But this book, the individuals that I believe are at a higher level, they've already kind of made these shifts, and they're more open and they understand the idea a little bit easier, right? They may not have the exact tools of how to do it, but they understand the concepts. So I wrote the book in a concept way that's really simplistic so my 16-year-old son could actually understand it. That's what I wanted to do. I talked about a computer, I talk about my life, I talk about concepts, how we do things, just so people can get the idea. And then once they do, I then give them in the back, called the second half of the book, part 2, I give them the actual frameworks and the steps to do it. So where some people say, here's the concept, go figure it out. I'm like, here's the concept, first part. Second part, here's how you do what I'm talking about. So I said how important a shift is, what identity is, give you examples. I even had a cool conversation that's in the book. But then the backside of the book is like, all right, here's how you evaluate yourself. Here's how you take that information and apply it to a process. Here's how you can see who you are, what to work on. Here's how you can do the right work to shift. Here's how you can sustain that over time so you become that person on the back edge. Here is the rubric for it. And so the book it's kind of like a mini playbook for athletes, right? Of how do you actually make that shift? And when you apply your dreams and goals to this, it gives you the path that you need to take to actually make those shifts. So you can, what I say, make shift happen.
So, I mean, our audience for this podcast is everything from athletes to their parents to entrepreneurs. And my assumption, just from having this conversation so far, everyone listen to this, you're going to be saying, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? Mm-hmm. This is their playbook. Yeah. This is how they do it.
It's the playbook. Yeah. So what I created from all my work is something called the shift method. So I'm not I hate when people say it, but it's the best way to frame it. Like they say, I'm a motivational speaker. Motivational speakers are phenomenal. And I believe I do motivate people, but I don't stop there. I think there is a disservice that's left on people's hearts where you get them all motivated and tell them they can do something, but not how, right? Yeah. It's like, dude, can you give me the recipe? You can make an amazing cake. It'll taste sweet. It'll be delicious. People will love the cake. And then they walk out of the room like, what's the recipe, man? How do I make the cake? So what I did is I realized there's a process. And so years ago, I kind of unpacked my entire life. I looked at the things that affected me in a sense of how was my neuroplasticity involved? What was going on in my brain, right? Then how was the psychology operational at that time? What was I thinking? What was I not seeing? What were the processes? So the more I dug in, I found there was a stream thread through the different levels of my life I've shifted. Whether it was from a youth athlete to a high school athlete to a college athlete to a dad to meeting my dad to NFL to out of NFL to business, marriage falling apart, remarried, all these different navigational points. And I go, there was something I was doing that didn't let me stick at those places where some people get stuck at one of those for the rest of their life. I always shifted out of it to a higher level. And a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs, right, to make the ups. But I made a method, and the method's called the shift method. And when you go through the shift method, it actually allows you to uncover and access that new reality we're talking about. But it's a process. And the book actually unpacks the shift method. But it's 3 levels. And see, shift, sustain. I got to see what I specifically need to work on, which what most people never do. They go and start doing the shift work, which is the action stuff. but they start borrowing it from Jeff and from Anthony and everybody else in the world. And they get to the back end of a year and go, how come my life's not better? Well, because you were zigging when you were supposed to zag, man. Like you did the wrong things because you didn't go back and see what you needed to do. So we work through a process to see who you are right now, what you should work on. Then we do the shift work. And the shift work it's having an individualized shift plan. See, in the C phase, we uncover what I call zone lags. Whatever your zone is that you create, it should be, there's going to be lags of where you're not doing things. Now that I know what those are, I need to create an individualized shift plan, my specific actions that I've got to do that are unique to me. And that does take some time. It's something that you have to really strategically think through so you can look at it and go, okay, great. If I follow this plan, like my coach has for the playbook or the team set up for practice for the season, like it's there, I just got to show up and work. Let me make this shift plan. Then we go to the sustain phase, which is how do I get this into my life and do it so consistently that it never falls off, that I always get things done, right? That's the next piece of it. And so for me, that's a big thing is like I walk people through that shift method in my coaching, but also in the book.
Awesome. So where do we find it?
Oh man, you go to identityshiftbook.com. So if you go to identityshiftbook.com, you actually go, it's a couple processes. It'll take you through 3 steps. And the third step, you're going to bring back the receipt from getting the book, as well as a special code, which is TJH, Jeff Heggie Show. The Jeff Heggie Show, but the Jeff Heggie, TJH. I'm saying too much on that. Just simple. TJH, people. And then what happens is once you put the code in, you'll also get an audio book. You'll get a digital book, and you'll get the workbook. The workbook is kind of like it comes alongside. It extracts kind of the most useful modules from my coaching programs and puts it into a self-paced program where you can just follow it along and actually apply more of what you found in the book. So it's not just like, here's some book, a concept, cool, but like it helps you really dig into the work. And then for the first 10 people that actually use this code, I will personally give them a signed autographed copy. I'll send to their house.
Very cool. Very cool. So hope you 9 others get in line. Yeah. All right. That is awesome. Now, the other thing, well, first of all, besides the book, where does my audience find you? Where do they follow you? Share those things as well.
Yeah, if you go to @AnthonyTrucks on Instagram, it's me, man. I'm the only Anthony Trucks besides my oldest son, and I think it's like I'm a picture of just my face up close. You can't miss it. So if you go out there and go look me up, you'll see me.
All right, awesome. And if you go to anthonytrucks.com, you're going to find out so much more. In fact, even if you're listening to this and saying, you know what he's talking about with the planner and everything, you're going to find the GPS planner. There's so much in there. And one thing I suggest y'all do is go there and click on where it says, what's my identity type? And you can learn a lot there too. But yeah. Anthony, you have shared so much. You've been so generous and you've taught us so much today. I appreciate that. And I thank you for it.
Very welcome, man. Thank you for having me. Seriously.
All right. Well, that was some incredible things that Anthony shared with us. There's so much power in that. And so make sure to go and get his book and take him up on that offer and what he's making for us right now. Because, as you listen through that, I'm sure there was things that you're thinking, yeah, that's exactly the path I need to take. But really, what do I need to do to implement those things? Well, get his book. It's going to help you to understand how to do that. Now, I talked throughout the program about the Confident Athlete program. This is something that if you're an athlete, whether, I've got everyone from middle school athletes to Division I to professional athletes that go through this program. As we look at all these different things that we're talking about, there's the physical part of your sport that is vital for you to master and practice, but it's often the mental side that gets neglected. And it's the mental game that really usually separates the successful athletes from the less successful athletes. So if you want to really be the best that you can be, if you want to achieve the goals that you have, you've got to take that time to invest in yourself and create that confidence, create that mindset, and create that identity that we've been talking about to become the athlete that you desire to be. So go to jeffheggie.com/confidentathlete and check that out. And you can find out more. If you have any questions, DM me or email me at jeff@jeffheggie.com. And I'd love to help you with that. Now, shifting over to entrepreneurs, coaches, other high achievers, I have a similar program with my High Achievers Mindset Secrets, where we work on developing the things that you need from a mindset perspective to really achieve your goals and dreams that you have, and to put yourself in the place to do those things. So that one as well, check that out at mindset.jeffhagee.com. We've had some great information here. I really appreciate the time that Anthony took with us today and the knowledge he shared with us. He's done some amazing things and helped so many people. He talked about it, with the books we read and all the things we do. If you just read these things, if you just listen to this and don't take any action, what are you getting out of it? Take your time, go to your schedule right now. Figure out the things that you've been putting off, the things that are really rolling around in your mind and using up space. Get them scheduled. Get efficient with your time, get productive, and get things done. And help yourself to become that person that you want to become. All right. Thanks for being with me this week. I'll see you again next week.